Hello my friends and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a book haul, and not just any book haul. This is my birthday book haul, which is very long overdue. I know my birthday was in March, but the last few weeks, months have been chaotic, and I just took a really long time to gather all the things together to actually film this haul. This is going to be a very long one because I have like 25 books to talk about. You know, not all of them I bought, some were sent to me, but yeah, I have a lot to go through, so I am going to try to keep this as short as humanly possible so you don't have to listen to me for 50 years, and I will just show you all the books that I am super excited to have now and that I am super excited to read. So let's get into this haul. The first book that I have is Immortality, a love story by Dana Schwartz. This is the second book to Anatomy. I recently read Anatomy in February and I was super surprised by how much I actually really enjoyed that book. It was something that I didn't expect to love. I felt like it was kind of out of my comfort zone, even though it is more of like a romance, but I just didn't think I was gonna love it, even though I bought it, so I don't know what I was thinking. I just didn't really think I was going to enjoy it, and it really surprised me enough that I knew I wanted to buy the sequel. So this is Immortality, that is going to continue off where Anatomy left off, and it's a good thing because Anatomy ends on a cliffhanger, and I am so excited to see what this one is going to do. I hope I like it as much as Anatomy, so I'm very excited to read this one. Also, look at how beautiful this cover is. It's basically just as beautiful as Anatomy, which isn't surprising, but ugh, I love it. Gorgeous. The next book is Mothered by Zoe Stage. This is the same author who wrote Baby Teeth. I really loved Baby Teeth, which I know is kind of, I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion, but I do know a lot of people didn't love Baby Teeth, but I really liked it. And this is one of my anticipated releases, so I knew that I had to pick it up. But basically the plot of this book is about the main character, Grace, whose newly widowed mother moves in with her during the pandemic, and they don't have the best relationship, and things just get kind of crazy after that. So I am very interested about this one. I am a little nervous. I'm not super thrilled by books that take place during the pandemic, just because it's not something that I like to read about. From the sounds of it, it sounds like the pandemic is more just like a backdrop, and that's the reason why they are living together, and you know, so I feel like it's not going to be such a big factor, which is what I'm more interested in, and more about the relationship between mother and daughter, which I think could be very interesting, and I think it could be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited for this one. So the next two I'm going to show you are 2 volumes from a manga series, and that is PTSD Radio volumes 1 and 2. They look like this. The volume covers are so bizarre. Like, I don't know. They're very creepy. I really don't like looking at them, but that kind of makes me super excited because I want this to be very creepy. I've had my eye on this for a really long time, and I am so glad that I finally got a chance to purchase them. I just heard that the imagery and the story is very creepy, and it kind of like gets under your skin, and as someone who loves Junji Ito so much, that's kind of the feeling that I get from a lot of his stories. So I'm hoping that this is, you know, kind of similar in a sense that I have that same kind of like reaction to them. So I'm very excited. From the covers, I feel like I'm getting into something very creepy, which is always a good thing for me. So I cannot wait to check these 2 out. So the next book was sent to me by Atria Books, and this is an arc of The Last One by Will Dean. This is on sale August 8th of this year, and I am very interested in this one. I read The Last Thing to Burn by Wilding, and I really enjoyed it. This one has a very, very, very interesting premise. The story is about Kaz and Pete, a couple who go on this exclusive cruise, and the first night everything is great. They're dancing, they're having fun, they're making friends, they're eating good food, all the stuff that people love to do on cruises. However, the next morning, Kaz finds out that Pete is missing, and when she goes looking for him, she realizes she's the only one on board. There is no one else on the cruise ship. So sounds very wild, sounds very crazy, sounds very interesting. That plot description really, really, really interests me. I have no idea what to expect from it, but I think it could be very, very good. So big thanks to Atria Books. I am so thankful. And of course I had to get Pinata by Leopoldo Gu, not only because this is my Patreon book club pick this month, but also I am just really excited. I was sold the minute that I found out it was going to be a possession story. I feel like there are not that many out there. Personally, I just don't really see them that often, and possession is one aspect of horror that I find to be like truly terrifying to me. I mean, I find it super scary, but I just think this sounds so interesting. This is about the main character who brings her two daughters to Mexico because she is overseeing the renovation of this cathedral into kind of a hotel, like a boutique hotel, and something happens while they're there, and she decides to bring her daughters back to New York City because of this incident, and her one daughter starts acting very strange after that. Very excited. I've heard that it is really wild, and honestly I'm just looking forward to it. I feel like this could be just such an amazing execution of a possession horror. I'm just so interested to see what kind of story this is actually going to be, and it had me intrigued the moment I laid eyes on this beautiful cover. The next two are volumes 3 and 4 of Orochi. This is a manga series that I have been reading. I've read volumes 1 and 2. I've had a very interesting experience with this series because the first volume I didn't love. I gave it like a 3.5, but I tried the second volume because I just wanted to see where this series was going, and volume 2 I liked a little bit more. I gave it 4 stars. So I am interested in continuing the series. I want to see where it's going. It's all centered around the main character Orochi, and just like these kind of like short stories dealing with her and these people that she encounters, and it's very interesting. I feel like it's a much quieter version of horror. I feel like people who don't necessarily like the intensity sometimes, like from Junji Ito, I feel like a lot of his imagery is a very like in your face and, you know, wild, and I feel like his stories are just kind of like out there sometimes. So I feel like this is a much quieter horror. I feel like people who haven't really dabbled into the horror genre in manga, I feel like could start with this. I feel like it's a very beginner-friendly horror manga. Very interested in continuing it. I am liking it more as I read it, which is exciting. So hopefully 3 and 4 are just as good as volume 2. Next is a book that I will be honest, I purchased because I thought the cover was really pretty, and that is Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury. So this is a YA horror, I believe, and honestly I don't really know anything about this one. I can't remember who I saw talking about this. I don't know if it was on Instagram or if it was on YouTube, and I don't remember who, but I saw someone say that they really liked it and it was like so good, and then I was like, oh, I really like that cover, and then I kind of just was like, I'm gonna buy it for my birthday because I don't know. Look, you should know this about me. Sometimes I don't have a reason for buying things. I just see them and I buy them because I can't help myself. And this is one of them because this cover is so beautiful. Oh my god, the first time I saw it, I was just like, this is stunning. And it's not a surprise because YA horror and YA thrillers, they have some of the best covers I've seen, and I just like, look, I'm a sucker. I can't help it. I just get sucked into that. I love covers so much. It's the collector in me. I know it's very impractical. I know it's not smart, I never said I was smart, so, you know. But this one I think is beautiful. I believe the main character sees dead people. I believe. I could be very wrong. Like I said, don't really know anything about this one. I just bought it for the cover and because I heard people saying that it was good, but also I didn't realize how chunky it was. Like for a YA, you have to admit, like that's pretty chunky. Not that YA is like, it's easier to read. It's a little bit faster, but like, dang, like this is a chunky book. So I don't know. Very excited to read it. If you've read it, let me know if you liked it, because I don't really know what it's about and I'm just gonna go in blind. So the next book was also sent to me, and that is The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. This was sent to me by Dart Frog and Scribner Books, so thank you so much. I know that Megan Miranda is a very hit or miss author. I've seen a lot of negative reviews of this author's work. I have read a Megan Miranda book, but I read it, I believe, before I started my channel, or I was in the early stages of my channel, so I don't remember it. Like, I'm pretty sure I unhauled it, but I did not remember anything about it, like, at all. So I'm kind of going into this one with a blank slate for Megan Miranda. I kind of just want to experience this for what it is and kind of try not to have a biased, you know, opinion of this author. I've seen reviews that just saying that like this author kind of does mediocre thrillers, but my unpopular opinion with thrillers is that I just want it to be twisty. I'm not really one to criticize thrillers too much. I go into thrillers for the sole aspect of wanting to be entertained. I have very different expectations between horror and thrillers, so I'm not too worried, I guess. As long as this one is pretty decent in plot, I don't think I'll have a problem with it. So I actually don't know too much about this book. Shocker, shocker, I know. But on the inside flap, it says, a decade ago, 2 vans filled with high school seniors on a school service trip crashed into a Tennessee ravine, a tragedy that claimed the lives of multiple classmates and teachers. The 9 students who managed to escape the river that night were irrevocably changed. A year later, after one of the survivors dies by suicide on the anniversary of the crash, the rest of them make a pact to come together each year to commemorate that terrible night, to keep one another safe, to hold one another accountable, or both. And I guess that this year at their annual meeting place, just things are weird, things are off, things aren't quite the same, and things are gonna get kind of messy after that. So don't know too much about it. I think the cover is very, very pretty though. I like the sunset colors. I think it's very, very pretty. So again, I've heard the negative reviews of this author, but I am going to go in with kind of a blank slate since this is gonna be my first time after many, many years of not reading a Megan Miranda, and I don't remember it at all, so I'm gonna try to go in, you know, unbiased and just see how I feel about it. Next is Tombs by Junji Ito, which is a short story collection, and if you know me, you know I love his short story collections so freaking much. They are some of my favorites, which I know is kind of an unpopular opinion as well. I know a lot of people don't love his short stories, but for me they work really, really well, and I actually tend to prefer his short story collections to a lot of his longer work, besides like Uzumaki. Uzumaki's like the one that I think is just like perfection, but I think that a lot of his short story collections are just absolutely like punchy, and they just really work for me. So anytime he releases a short story collection, I get really, really, really excited. They are just some of my favorites. So I have really high hopes for this one. I think the cover is beautiful, and I'm just excited to have another Junji Ito to read because I can't get enough. So next is another book that was sent to me from Atria Books. This is coming out on July 11th, and it is Thicker Than Water by Megan Collins. I believe I have read a book from this author before. I don't think I loved it. If I'm thinking of the right book, I think I gave it like a 3.5. This book is about these 2 women, Julia and Sienna. They are sisters-in-law, and they are very, very close. They are friends, but they're also business partners. They both really care about their husband and brother, Jason, and his boss actually gets murdered, and it's a very scary, very shocking. Then Jason, the brother and husband, actually gets into a car accident and goes into a medically induced coma. They find out that he is the main suspect in the boss's murder, and they are going to try to uncover what is really going on and who actually did it. So, sounds very interesting. I like the fact that they're sisters-in-law. I think that's very interesting, and I don't know, I feel like the dynamic could be very interesting. Friendship, family, you know, I like the thicker than water, you know, like the blood is thicker than water saying. I think this could be a good thriller. Nervous because I don't think I loved this author's other book that I read, but I'm excited to give this one a try, and hopefully this one's more up my alley. Next is another book that is on my anticipated release list. That is She Is a Haunting by Trang Tan Tran. And I love this cover. I think this book looks so beautiful. And also look at the inside. Okay, just look at the inside. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my god. This is what I'm talking about. YA horror, it's like on another level sometimes with their covers and their details and the intricacies. Because I'm someone who is so much of a collector, it's just something that really like grabs me and makes me want to buy the book. And I know I shouldn't do it just because of the cover, but look, I'm not a perfect person, okay? So this is YA, obviously, but this is about the main character who is bi and Vietnamese American. And I believe the book has to do with like colonialism, it has to do with haunted house, it has to do with like sibling relationships, and honestly, it sounds so good. I have seen some really disappointing reviews, and so I am a little bit more nervous than I was going into this one, but I'm trying not to let that affect me. I might lower my expectations just a little bit, like just a hair, but I really want this to be good. I really want to love it. I do. I want this to be amazing. I want this to be really good. So I'm going to lower my expectations just like a little bit, but I do have high hopes that this could be just such a knockout, and I'm hoping that I don't have the same feelings as the people that I've seen not enjoying this one. So we'll see, but it is one of my anticipated releases and I can't wait to read it. Next is actually a gift from one of my beautiful friends here on YouTube, Kaylee, or Kaylee's Books. She sent me Monstrous Volume 1 for my birthday, and I am so excited. One, I don't read too many graphic novels. It's not something that I don't know, I tend to buy manga more often than I do a graphic novel, but I really want to read more graphic novels just because I think that, I don't know, I think I'd really enjoy it, and I don't know why I don't read more to begin with. So I'm very excited. I've had this one on my radar for a while. I've heard the art is absolutely beautiful and breathtaking, and it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, which I'm excited for. It does say on the back that this is set in an alternate world of Art Deco beauty and steampunk horror, which I am very interested in, and I think that that's going to add so much to the beauty of the art, which I am so excited for. I'm hoping that I just fall in love with this series and that it makes me want to pick up more graphic novels and just kind of, I have some graphic novels, I just haven't really read them. I don't know why I don't gravitate towards graphic novels. It's very weird. I don't know, I don't understand it, but very excited for this one. Thank you so much, Kaylee. You are the sweetest human and I love you very much, so I can't wait to read this one. Next up is Box of Light Volume 2. I have been excited for Volume 2 to come out since I read Volume 1 in October. I read the first volume for Halloween and it was so interesting. This is not a series that I expected to really enjoy, but I had so much fun with the first volume. Basically, this is about a convenience store that lies in between life and death, and the people visiting it are like hanging in the balance. There's monsters in it, and the stories are just kind of really sad, but also really beautiful. It's like also got a hint of like comedy and a hint of funny to it, and I feel like we're gonna get a look more at the workers of the convenience store and like why they're there, how they got there. We got a little bit in volume 1, but I feel like each volume we're gonna get a little bit more. Honestly, this is just a manga series that is really fun and just, I don't know, very sweet and sad at the same time. And I don't know, it's just really, really cute. I'm very excited to give this second volume a read, and I just can't wait to continue it. I hate that I found it so soon while it's still ongoing, and I'm gonna have to wait a little bit for each volume, but I like it enough, so I'm not too disappointed by that. Next up is another book that is kind of out of my realm, but I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and I think it sounds very interesting, so I am going to give it a try. And that is Monsterlio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. And this is more of a literary horror, I believe, and it is about the mother of this son, and her son ends up dying, and she takes a piece of his lung and she kind of nurtures it, and the lung starts growing into this creature monster, I believe. So it's probably going to be a very grief horror focused book. I hope it's not too literary for me because, you know, my brain doesn't really operate like that. My brain is kind of needing things to be, I don't know. I just don't like to have to think too heavy sometimes while I'm reading. I look at reading as an escape, and sometimes literary horror can push me in a direction that isn't fun for me. So I'm hoping that this isn't too much of that, and it's just more of like just saying things about grief and, you know, like family and love for a child and stuff like that. So hopefully it's more on that end and not as like crazy hard for me to get, but I do think it sounds good. The cover really got me. I really like the cover. I think it's really cool. I'm very interested in it. I don't know. I just think it sounds like it could be really good, and I'm hoping, because I've seen a lot of positive reviews for this one, that I end up loving it as well. The next book is also one that was sent to me by Atria Books. This one is coming out July 4th. That is At the End of Every Day by Ariana. I don't know how to pronounce this author's name. I tried to look it up and I cannot find anyone pronouncing this name, so this is probably very wrong, but I think it's Reiki. I don't know if that's correct. Please don't hate me in the comments. I'm very sorry. Please let me know if you know how to say this, or if I'm saying it correctly. I don't know, but I think it's Reiki. I literally have no idea. This is about the main character, Delphi, who works at this California amusement park, and she's worked there for years, and then this Hollywood star ends up dying at the amusement park. She's given the task to close the amusement park down for good. However, it says on the back, a local employee at a collapsing theme park questions the recent death of a celebrity visitor, the arrival of strange new guests, and her boyfriend's erratic behavior, and ultimately her own sanity. So it sounds like this is going to be kind of crazy, and that there's going to be a lot of things happening, not just that mysterious death of the celebrity. It's also going to be like her own boyfriend and herself, and then like other weird people, I guess. So I don't know, I feel like this cover makes me feel off balanced, and that's what the plot also sounds like. I don't know, I think this could be very, very interesting. It also says on the back that this is perfect for fans of Ian Reid, which I do enjoy Ian Reid's writing, so I'm hoping that this is gonna be like kind of like that, just very weird. So very excited. I think this one sounds like a lot of fun. Next is volumes 1 and 2 of For the Kid I Saw in My Dreams by Kei Sanbe. This is one of my favorite mangakas. This is the same mangaka who wrote Erased and Island in a Puddle, which I just recently finished, and I absolutely adore this mangaka's work. I think that their stories are something that I just really, really end up loving. I find them to be very emotional and tense and just really gripping, and I wanted to read this one next because I have just decided I'm going to read everything that Kei Sanbe writes, because why wouldn't I? And I actually don't know what this one's about, which is funny because that's exactly what I did with Island in a Puddle. I decided to not read the plot and just went into it blind, which I'm going to do with this one too, because I think it just works in my favor, and I like being surprised. I like not knowing what to expect. I just think that this is also going to be a knockout. I believe that there are 10 volumes of this one. I think the 10th volume is not out yet, or it's about to be out, and then I think that's the final volume. So I have a few more to collect before I have the whole set, so I will probably wait until I go to buy the rest, just because I already know I'm probably gonna really enjoy this one. So very, very excited to have another Kei-san-bei in my collection. Next is volume 9 of Inside Mari by Shuzo Oshimi. I have yet to start this series. I have the other volumes, I just haven't started it. I know that this is ongoing and it's not complete yet, which is kind of the reason that I haven't started it yet. I love Shuzo Oshimi. I really enjoy his manga. Of course, you know, I talk about Blood on the Tracks like all the time. It's one of my absolute favorites. So I am expecting to enjoy this one because I also loved The Flowers of Evil and Happiness. So I just have a feeling that I'm going to enjoy Inside Mari as well, which is why I've been collecting them and I just haven't started them yet. But I do want to start it really soon because I think it sounds very interesting. I believe the plot is about a girl and boy who body swap. So not something that I typically love in my anime or manga, but I've heard that it's obviously got a more sinister twist to it. It's Shuzo Oshimi, so of course, but his stories are also very emotional, which I really like because I like emotional horror. So I feel like there's got to be more to this one that I just haven't discovered because I haven't read it yet. So very excited to start this one. I should do it sooner rather than later though, because I have volumes 1 through 9, so I don't know what I'm waiting for. This next one is Please Join Us by Catherine McKenzie. This was also sent to me by Atria Books. I believe this came out last year. This one I did not know anything about. I just read the back because I did not know the plot of this one. This book is about the main character, Nicole. She is 39 and she had a wonderful law career, but now it's not what it once was. And then she receives this letter to join this exclusive women's work group, like a women's club, you know, kind of like a boys club. It's like a girls club, you know, for like networking and, you know, meeting people and connecting, you know, that kind of thing. And she thinks that this is a great time to try and revive her career. This is like a great opportunity, and her husband's kind of like, you know, what if this is a cult? But she decides to ignore her husband's concerns, and you know, when she gets to this group, she's meeting all these kinds of people and she's like, you know, networking, it's great. But then, you know, she gets involved in covering up a crime. So I'm assuming that this group is not as nice and, you know, sincere as it seems. I feel like they're obviously covering up some stuff, obviously, and it's not going to be good, and I have a feeling she's going to regret getting involved. I don't know if it's going to be a cult, though. If it is a cult, that will be very interesting. I don't know, but it sounds like it could be a lot of fun. I love a good thriller. I'm trying to limit how many thrillers I read recently just because I've been severely disappointed, but I think this one has the potential of being really good. These next and last 4 books were sent to me by one of my wonderful patrons and subscribers, Vanessa. Thank you so much. You spoiled me for my birthday and it was so unnecessary. I'm so grateful, but it was just way too much. Just like, you are the sweetest and I appreciate it more than you even know. So these next 4 are courtesy of Vanessa. First is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I have heard lots of people talking about this one, non-stop talking about this book. It is supposed to be a very fun, twisty, crazy thriller. It's about a maid who is not what she seems from what I gather. I don't really know the full plot. Again, I don't really go into thrillers trying to know the plot because I just want to be entertained. So I believe it's about a housemaid that's working for this family, and the family is, you know, a little odd, but the main character, who is the maid, is also hiding some secrets. So I don't know what to expect, but I've heard a lot of people raving about this one, and I think it sounds very fun, and I just kind of want to read and know what everyone's talking about. So I am very excited to have this one now on my shelves. This next one I am so excited about, and that is Night of the Living Rez by Morgan Talty. This is a short story collection. The author is Indigenous, and I love this cover. One, I think it's absolutely beautiful. Two, I love short story collections. I have an addiction to them. I don't know why. I just love owning short story collections, and I like reading them so much, and I just go through phases where all I want to read is short story collections. And three, I am obviously trying to read more Indigenous authors, but this one I have heard so many good things about, and honestly I just think it's gonna be so good. I don't really know what the stories are about, but I don't mind that because I like kind of being surprised by each story I read. I also love stories like short story collections that are written all by the same author. I find them to be more of a hit than short story collections written by multiple authors, so super excited to give this one a go. Next is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I have heard so many people talking about this one. This one is not something that is typically up my alley. This is more fantasy, which is not a genre that I tend to read a lot of, but I've heard this is more of like cozy fantasy, which is something that I am intrigued by, probably because I love cozy horror. I love cozy horror so much, so I feel like cozy fantasy could be more up my alley. Like, I feel like it could be a good introduction to fantasy to see if I want to ease myself a little bit more into the fantasy realm, and maybe not just with horror fantasy, because I do read some horror fantasy, but I feel like this would be a new direction and kind of a new introduction to the genre that I could, I don't know, get a better feel for it. Again, don't know if I'm correct. You can correct me. Again, not very knowledgeable in fantasy, but I have heard this is more like a cozy, like emotional feel-good story, I think. This was recommended to me. I believe this is one of my 12 books recommended by 12 friends for this year. So I'm really excited to read this one and see what everyone's talking about and see if I enjoy it and maybe open up a new genre to myself. That would be really cool. The last book in this haul and the last book that was sent to me from Vanessa is Before I Let Go by Marieke Nijkamp. I think I looked it up. I don't know if I'm correct. Again, I'm so sorry. This very much interests me. This story is about Corey and Kira, who are best friends, but suddenly Corey ends up having to move, and they tell Kira to just kind of wait for them to visit and everything's gonna be okay. But when Corey is supposed to visit Kira, she ends up dying just days before Corey gets there. And then when Corey gets there, everyone's kind of just talking about Kira's death like, oh, it was meant to be, it's just how it was supposed to happen. And Corey feels like the town is isolating them and that, you know, something's going on and something is not quite right about Kira's death. I think that sounds really good. I've had my eye on it for a while. I have never read anything from this author. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews, but honestly, I don't know, there's just something about it that sounds like I could really love it. It sounds like something up my alley. It sounds like a YA that I would gravitate towards, that I would read, so I'm very excited to give this one a try. Alright, that is the longest overdue excessive birthday book haul, mostly birthday book haul, that I have to show you all and go over. So I hope you enjoyed this haul. If you did and you enjoy hauls, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these or you would like to hear my thoughts on any of them, you want to see them in vlogs or whatever. Just let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. If you haven't already and you want to subscribe to my channel, feel free to do so. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!